Hi, my name is Natalie Harper. I am a recent graduate from Graceland University and an elder in the Community of Christ. Today's message revolves around communion and its biblical and modern significance. Communion is one of the sacraments that the Church recognizes and is an important time to reflect on one's relationship with Christ. I have been a lifelong member of the Church, and one of my first memories of the Lord's Supper was being very little in the church and watching everyone receive a snack of bread and juice in the church. And of course I wanted to participate. Luckily, I only had a few years of being envious before I was able to be baptized, and now I have the opportunity to serve communion with others. The sacrament of breaking bread and sharing wine is known by a wide variety of names. Some prefer to call it Eucharist, which comes from the Greek translation. Sometimes it is referred to as the Lord's Supper, as a reference to the Last Supper in which the example was set. The term that I grew up hearing and use most often is communion, which is derived from the Latin word communio, which means sharing in common, which refers to the communal setting in which the sacrament often takes place. The Last Supper is depicted in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and 1 Corinthians. In the Luke interpretation, which comes from chapter 22, verses 19-20, it is said that he, Jesus, took the bread, gave thanks, and broke, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." What Christ had performed for his disciples was the transformation of the Jewish ritual meal of Passover into a meal that celebrates the significance of Jesus' life and death. This meal becomes commemorative, a frequent event amongst Christ's followers, as described in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 23-26. "For I have received from the Lord what I also handed on to you, that the Lord Jesus on the night when he was betrayed took a loaf of bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, 'This is my body, that is for you. Do this in remembrance of me.' In the same way, he took the cup also after supper, saying, 'This cup is my new covenant in my blood. Do this, as often as you drink it, in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes." The scriptures are clear that we are able to participate in communion often and to do so in remembrance of Christ. What does this mean? Communion is an excellent opportunity to remember the reason for our baptism and, in a way, is an opportunity to renew our commitment to the love and mission Jesus had given to us. Taking communion is a way to ask for forgiveness, as well as a refreshed slate for pursuing peace and love. Being a student at Graceland and being on the campus ministries team mean that it has been a critical task for me to see the importance of spiritual practices and sacraments from a broader Christian perspective. Communion is valued within the Community of Christ and is one of our official sacraments. It is performed about once a month, as well as when an important gathering occurs, such as at reunion or camp. Graceland is affiliated with Community of Christ, and therefore Graceland offers communion on the first of the month during Sunday morning worship service, as well as the evening afterglow services. Both services attract students of all different Christian expressions. I think one of the most important decisions that the Community of Christ has ever made was allowing for open communion. Open communion allows any baptized Christian to partake in the sacrament of communion, whether their membership is with the Community of Christ or another church. Many students at Graceland value their faith, and being able to partake in this sacrament judgment-free is very important for their own spiritual development. Our experiences with communion and the Lord's Supper closely align with how Christ's experience would have been. The idea of communion is largely based on the gathering of a community and is meant to be a communal experience, so communion is the choice for many. Communion needs to involve community. As the name Community of Christ suggests, community is one of the most important foundations of the church, as well as of Christ's mission. Our idea of community has recently been challenged due to health concerns, since we have not been able to safely gather in public as we once did. I believe that several positives have emerged from these troubling times as our community has been made even stronger. Not being able to gather in person has encouraged alternative forms of gathering to emerge, such as online gatherings. Online gatherings have really embraced the idea of come as you are, as people from all over the world are able to gather virtually. Online services allow people who possibly do not have access to physical congregations to join for worship and helps us pursue Christ's mission, which of course includes others, building community, and sharing peace. So what can we do as we take communion to ensure that we do so in remembrance of Christ? We can reflect on our commitment to God, Christ, and each other. We can remember that our triumphs can be celebrated and our mistakes can be learned from and forgiven. We need to reflect on what we are doing with and for each other, especially during a time of difficulty. We are all in various stages and transitions in life and will continue to depend on each other for support, even when things start getting back to normal. So, partake in communion if you feel called to do so, and do it in remembrance of Christ. Christ's mission cannot be accomplished by any one of us alone, and communion is a great way to embrace community in any way, shape, or form.